Hi folks. Now, I know most of you are senior students, so you're later on in your degree and you've done courses already, including already having had the winter 2020 experience of having a course online. So I'm going to make this first video fairly short and sweet and to the point. I trust and I have confidence in that you will review the syllabus and just bring me any questions that you have, and we can talk about these questions either in office hours or over the Blackboard Collaborate session. But there are a few things that are specific to this course that I thought I would just highlight, just so you have an idea of what to expect in the weeks to come. So, of course, you have to review the syllabus and the course outline. This is my contract with you. Please refer to it frequently. I posted a link to a silly little video here so that you don't have to take my word for it as an important syllabus. But again, because many of you have taken at least one course, right, Anth 206 before, I know that you're familiar with the significance and why your instructors spend so much time emphasizing it in the first week of classes. So I just want to emphasize that I'm not a fan of the course title, right, Archaeological Method Issues. It has to do with the length what we're allowed to have for course titles, but simply the way I approach this class is an opportunity for us to examine more critically how archaeologists do what they do and provide some more detailed instruction on that process of designing archaeological research. So really the course description captures it well, even if archaeological method issues the title doesn't. So the way I kind of think of it is issues in archaeological methods and practice more broadly. Okay, so please review the course objectives or learning outcomes. Oh, I should mention that if you're haven't already figured this out, that if let's leave the show, escape. There we go. You'll see that at the bottom of all of the PowerPoint slides, or most of them, I've provided a little bit of extra information. Basically, these would be like the lecture notes that I would read out and prepare. So don't always review your PowerPoints as presenter view. Look at them in this view and notes view. So you can either move this up or down to see it, or if you go to view at the top of the page and then go to notes page, this is also another effective way to view what's on the slide. And again, like the lecture notes that I provided for you. Okay, so let's go back to normal view. Let's go back to presenter view. Okay. The reason why I wanted to emphasize learning outcomes for this course, and maybe not other elements of the syllabus so much, is because you'll see that the assignments and the content that I deliver are explicitly derived from this. So you're going to have chances to evaluate archaeological studies. Your second assignment looking at its research design and approach. You're going to be proposing a project for research at a site or region. You're going to evaluate ethical issues, not just around documentation, preservation, interpretation, and ownership, but actually just some of the challenges that we're facing in our discipline right now. These challenges are many that are similar to what are held in or that are found in other disciplines right now and are kind of part of the broader discourses in research and academia. So things like sexual violence is coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about accessibility and also inequity in archaeology as well. And then we'll look at some of the skills that are required for archaeological research. We'll talk a little bit about CRM, but we'll also talk about the other kinds of archaeology that are happening and how these more inclusive kind of emerging fields of contemporary archaeology are really meant to address some of the ethical challenges that we're currently facing in our field. Okay, grade determination. Let's move me out of the way here. Boop. That's the sound I make as I move around the stage. So you have your syllabus quiz. You'll notice that the deadline is not the end of this week. I made it September 18th because that's your add drop deadline. And I wanted to make sure that if students were coming and going from the class, everyone would have the opportunity to do the syllabus quiz without panicking and having to connect with me. What I'm going to spend some time talking about is the 5 short written assignments, the video presentation, and the final project. Okay, so my goal, because we've shifted to an online format, although I've done this for in-person classes, I've just kind of broken it down. So rather than doing 3 large written assignments throughout the term, I'm having you do 5 very short written assignments and then kind of 2 larger projects at the end of the term. And so the reason why I'm doing this is that I'm trying to replicate as best as I can while you're still learning about it, the process of conducting research, right? And so this is meant to kind of situate you in kind of two different ways. If you were going to go down the academic route of archaeology and pursue something like graduate studies, this is kind of the process that you would want to undertake somewhat in order to apply for a graduate program. And then there's also other elements that if you're more interested in the cultural resource management or CRM track or archaeology and industry, I have some skill building ideas. So proposal, cover letter, and CV, so assignment 4 in particular, is really specific to that kind of track, but I've incorporated into the broader project. And then other elements also kind of relate again to both CRM and academic streams. So assessing site significant and common ground, so perspectives and also stakeholders in archaeology. Peer review is critical no matter where you go. Even in CRM, you're going to find yourself evaluating, critiquing, reviewing the work of others. And then finally, you're going to encapsulate this with both a video presentation and then your final project that you'll submit to me. And any of you who've had me before know that I always post detailed assignment instructions. So you'll see that I've already posted 1 and 2 for you, so you can take a look at them. The only other thing I'll throw in here about this is that I want you to really pay attention to how much these assignments are worth, right? 5%, not a lot. You have a deadline in basically a week and a half. I know that's really crazy, but hopefully you'll see that it really isn't a very time-intensive assignment. Really, you're just providing some basic information about a site you think you want to pursue looking at for the rest of this term. Clearly, the larger projects towards the end of the term, there'll be a lot more instruction around that, and we'll have chances to talk about each of these assignments in our Collaborate sessions. Okay. Let's move me up here. Again, those of you who had me before know that while I have a formal late penalty that's applied to assignments, you are eligible, of course, to get extensions. You just need to talk about this with me in advance. Just keep in mind that because the assignments are all scaffolded together, that there's a point at which if you get too far behind in the assignments, you could find yourself in a little bit of trouble, right? So just try to stay on top of those deadlines. Try to basically use extensions when they're needed versus all the time. Okay. So we are going to have Blackboard Collaborate sessions. Our first will be this Thursday, especially for this first week. If you can, I'd really like you to come because then we can really talk about how the class is structured, answer any questions that you have. Every week I will have some activities that you will be able to participate in. We'll do little breakout groups and stuff like that. But if you're not able to attend, that's okay. I'll be posting the videos of that on Blackboard for you. I just asked that when you first initially sign in, be on mute. And of course, if you want to have video or not is totally up to you. Okay, recording, again, just read this. Please don't, or please feel free to record materials. Please do not distribute. There we go. That's the best way to put it. Okay, contacting me, this is fairly straightforward. Use Anth's 395 in the subject line. I have 4 courses this semester, so this will help me do a little bit of triage in terms of addressing your emails, right? I won't be worrying or stressed about answering an email if it has a subject line like general question about this versus like Anth 395. Important about assignment, right? Those types of things. I'll respond within 24 hours, but if you send in the evenings, know that I probably won't respond until the following morning, with the exception of when assignments are due, those due dates. I'll be checking email quite regularly. In terms of office hours, you'll find a link every single week to the Sign Up Genius for that. I'm asking that students sign up for 15-minute slots on a first-come, first-served basis to meet with me. But if you need more time than that, that's not a problem. Please just send me an email and we can find an alternative time to meet and discuss. And of course, I use social media quite a bit. You're not required to for this course, but if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I use the Anth395 hashtag. What's nice about this is that I've used this in past incarnations of this course, so you'll be able to see not only what I'm currently talking about, but other tweets that might have come up over the summer that I thought were relevant to course subjects, and also conversations I've had with previous students in this class as well. And what's nice about that is you can search for those hashtags on Twitter and Instagram without having an account. Okay. Of course, common thing around academic integrity, please check that out. Please read my notes around the 3 R's of academic integrity, and just know that I will be working with you throughout the term to provide you with the resources that you need. I'll be really explicit in communicating what my expectations are and therefore what your responsibilities are for this course as well. Okay, next slide. Oh, there's nowhere really good to put me here. Let's put me here. I've also posted some discussion guidelines. These fall in line with kind of my aggressively human approach I take in all of my classes, whereby I want to acknowledge that we're all coming into this classroom space, this classroom environment, with different backgrounds, different experiences. And so I really want to ensure that we can all feel the right to participate, the right to remove ourselves from conversation in a comfortable sort of way. So that's what these discussion guidelines talk about. Please note that I call them guidelines because they are not written in stone. They're an opportunity for us to also engage in what these guidelines should be. What does an effective communication and collaboration look like in a classroom setting? Okay, let's take a look at those. Quite a few slides. I've also posted for all of my classes kind of a recommended weekly workflow. So this is just kind of how I've organized the class, that first you'll begin by reading the lecture notes, then you'll watch this video and other assigned videos, then you'll read chapters or PDFs for each week. Throughout, you should be actually writing, taking notes, answering discussion questions that I'll be posting. These discussion questions we'll be talking about in the Collaborate sessions, so you have an opportunity to engage with those, so it's great if you come prepared for that. It's actually recommended you come prepared for that. Review, frequently I'll post additional resources for you, again, ones that are not required, but ones that may help you in terms of understanding each week's subjects. Then, of course, you can discuss the online discussion for activities on Thursdays. So my goal is to have everything posted to you by 10 a.m. on Mondays. So then you'll have until Thursday to work through the materials or start to review the materials. Then you can engage and collaborate, keep working through the materials, and then the next Monday, the next week's materials will be released. And then, of course, you should be working on any assignments and any due dates. So kind of keep on track for all of those different things. Okay, I posted your schedule here. This is just from the syllabus telling what the topic is, what the required readings is going to be, what the required watching. So in many cases, there'll be videos, and then any sort of activities, assessments, and due dates that are associated. So you'll see that next week, for example, we're going to do a defining archaeology and what's called DART or Draw an Archaeologist test, a Collaborate session. Again, this is ungraded. It's not an optional assignment. It's just meant to get your brain juices flowing as we review what archaeology is and start talking about the stakeholders in archaeology, which will then lead into our week 3 discussion. I'll just give you a heads up now. Content warning for week 4, we're going to talk about harassment and archaeosexism following our discussion of ethics more broadly. So of course, because we're going to be talking about sexual violence, sexual harassment, if you do not feel comfortable or that you're in a right place to engage with these materials, that's okay. Just note that I will be providing some resources to support those of you who've been affected by sexual violence or who may feel triggered or uncomfortable by any of the content we talk about. Also, I'm a sexual violence support guide at MacEwan, so I have a lot of training that allows me to provide you support specifically around these issues. And so I still hope that you'll feel comfortable and safe talking about something that I really think is a major problem in archaeology, and we need to have a lot more open discourse with our students about it, beginning in the earliest level, so in undergraduate courses. Okay, so a bunch of different stuff. Required text, I just want to emphasize that the one text given is available as a free ebook, so you do not have to purchase it. I do not require you to have a physical copy, but used copies are out there circulating. I just happen to have my copy here. It's actually a really great resource for those of you who are considering going on in archaeology, especially from the academic side of things. If you want to go into grad school, you want this book in your toolkit. The other book, which I have somewhere in my stack of books, maybe not. I'm working from home. Must have left it in my office. Anyways, the Black and Jolly one, unfortunately, we don't have an ebook version of this. There are a couple of copies through the library, though, that you might be able to take out, and there should be a bunch of used copies. And again, it's another book that it's part of a broader series that was done by the Society for American Archaeology called Archaeologist Toolkits, and it's a really great, useful resource book that, again, I go back to time and time again. So I chose it because I feel like it's worth you having in your collection. And then finally, I'll have a whole bunch of PDFs of articles as well every single week that you can access and read. I've posted a little introductory video about myself that you can take a look at. Again, it's not required, but it just kind of provides a bit more context of who I am and my experience in archaeology. And this picture just kind of captures some of my experiences over the last 20 years. And of course, a picture of my daughter, Olivia, who I'm sure will pop up at some point or another in this class. I want to emphasize, of course, that your questions are really important. This course I have always run as an opportunity for you to learn more about the practice or the art or the craft of archaeology. What do we do? How do we do it? So ask me questions, ask me about my experiences. I'll share anecdotes and stories that are relevant to the subject matter as we go along. Finally, I like to begin, well, not really finally, but I like to kind of end the first course by doing the land acknowledgement. I know many of my colleagues like to begin there, but I kind of end with the land acknowledgement in the first class because to me, this is something we're going to touch upon a lot in this class, the significance of land acknowledgements, why it's important, particularly for us archaeologists and us anthropologists, to acknowledge where we come from. So we are on Treaty 6 territory. This is the traditional home and territory of many Indigenous groups who continue to live on this land today. Myself, I'm a settler. I talked a little bit about that in the notes before. I'm Edmonton born and raised, so I'm a Treaty 6 person, but this is something that I've only really had to come to terms with because of my privilege as being a non-Indigenous person over the last few years. And so we're going to spend some time talking about not just place, but reconciliation, why it is so important from not just an ethical perspective, but also just from a practical, logistical perspective in archaeology. So in summary then, for this first week, know your syllabus. Know how to access the materials. If for any reason you have trouble accessing any of the content I've posted to Blackboard, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and let me know. I do have a plan B in place if Blackboard crashes, which it, fingers crossed, hopefully won't, but it might. I know U of A had problems with Moodle, their online platform, so just know that I got your back. I have a plan in place. It'll be fine. You'll have access to what you need. But for whatever reason, if a video is not playing, if something seems broken, if a link is broken, just let me know right away and I'll do my best to correct that. Please do your readings. This is going to be a reading heavy class. It's going to be very hard for us to have discussions if people aren't engaging with these materials. Readings are going to seem heavy at time, but know that that there's no final exam in this course. There's no exams at all, so it's not like I'm going to be asking you really detailed specific questions about the reading, but just rather, what is the purpose of this reading? Why did I assign it to you? What are the issues that it presents that I want you to be thinking about? Again, don't be afraid to ask questions, especially because we can't see each other face to face all the time. Write those questions down, email them to me, post them in the discussion forum. So you'll see I've posted a discussion forum in Blackboard, and every single week I've created a forum for you to ask your questions. This is because I don't want you to rely just on me this term. You have a huge cohort. The class size actually was increased this year. Yay, thanks COVID. So feel free to ask those questions more generally and see what your classmates have to say. Use each other, support each other, learn from each other, learn with each other. And of course, don't hesitate to contact me. So don't forget to do the syllabus quiz by the 18th. Basically, it's pretty straightforward. It's just 2% basically for completing it. Have a great week, everyone. I hope to meet most of you on Thursday. If not, I really do hope we'll get a chance to connect, if not over video, over phone, over email, throughout the course of the term. So be well, everyone, and I'll see you all on Thursday.